Keep living the adventure. Axis of Awesome.
Incoming transmission.
What is up, adventurers? Welcome to yet another Who's in the Shop. Appreciate you guys tuning in tonight. We've got a great guest, one of my two-time guests. There's not a lot of those right now for the Who's in the Shop, but we have scheduled one of the original gangsters, the OGs, one of the greats. So before we get to our guest, as we always do with our Who's in the Shop, let's do a few housekeeping items. First of all, Veterans Day was Tuesday, and I want to give a big thank you to all our veterans in the Axis of Awesome community. I know we have a really strong veteran representation in that, and I want to give all you guys a shout out and thank you for your service. We all really appreciate it. The Golden Skull packages are 3 winners. Those all went in the mail yesterday, so you guys should be getting those hopefully by Saturday or Monday at the latest. Let me know when you get those. And again, congratulations to Ed Kozak, Rick Bradshaw, and Andy Hasera for winning the Golden Skull Challenge this year. We really appreciate you guys taking part in that. And remember, next year is going to be Hunters of the Unknown. And we really want to try to get as many people participating as that as we can. So we'll have a bigger announcement after the first of the year. Next photo story dropping for the holidays is called Crosshairs, and I think you guys are going to love it. It's going to be a really cool, super short, and it was a lot of fun to make. I made it over the weekend, and it was fun. Another big shout out goes to Ernie from Ernie's Attic. He sent me and my son Ollie some Hot Wheels the other day, and we love them. And he is actually upstairs right now. Hopefully, he's finished his homework and he's able to play with his Hot Wheels on a track. So, without further ado, let's bring on our guest. I think he needs no introduction. We all know him. He's one of the men keeping the 1/6 scale hobby alive. He's one of the greats, Mr. Greg Brown from Cotswold Collectibles. What's up, brother?
I'm feeling at home with another brother who has a beard longer than mine, for one. So
yours is a little more gray, but I'm catching up to you.
Yours is a lot longer, but I mean, hell, man. I'm tired of people calling me Santa Claus around here. I'm like, if you're gonna start calling me Santa Claus, at least put me on a chair and pay me some money for the gig, you know?
Yeah, you should get a Santa Claus gig. You probably can't get paid for that.
I probably could. I'm fat enough at this point, so just put a little bit more whitener in the beard or whatever. And I guess I gotta be nice to kids. Yeah. But no, it's great to be here, man. Thanks for having me back.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming on. This is always a fun conversation. I think the last time you and I talked, we had a great time. We talked about a ton of different things. But tonight, I think you and I have talked off camera. Let's kick it off with your big news that you've kind of been sharing with everybody on all your different platforms, and that is the Lennard's Toys acquisition of product. What's been going on with that? Kind of get us all up to speed on that.
Yeah, man, it's been nuts. I mean, years for years, I've been working to try to get the stuff in, and I got in contact with the owner of Lennard Toys, Jim. I'll just call him Jim. Probably Jim. I think it's Jim Hesterberg, and nothing was going on. And then finally this year, he was like, "Hey, man, are you still serious about this?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, well, we're going to be bringing in a container, but we're going to bring it to our Oxnard, California offices. And they're like, we can piggyback your order. So I put in around $5,000 worth of 30 3/4 inch, because like you and I were talking about, I was born in 71. So I grew up with G.I. Joe Adventure Team. I had Super Joe. I did Star Wars, and I did, 80s G.I. Joe. So I kind of had the best of both worlds. And with that, I collected the core. Remember,
Yeah.
I bought every
I had
freaking
the cord
figure.
too.
Yeah,
Yep.
I bought every figure that they had at Walmart, man. And so that always had a warm spot in my heart. And so when I had the opportunity to bring in the newer stuff, I jumped at it. I had to move some money around to get it. My wife's still not in here. Okay. So anyway,
He comes in, you'll get real quiet. We'll know. We'll like
yeah.
signals.
When the dogs start barking and you feel the wind whistling behind me, we're in trouble. But no, we got that shipment in, and I started talking to a gentleman over there at the Oxnard office. And just for those people who are not familiar with, Leonard Jim is based in Hong Kong. He's U.S. born, but he's been running Leonard Toys since 1979.
Wow.
And yeah, and they're still in business. They do everything. I mean, they did a version of Barbie. They did G.I. Joe. They did doll stuff. They did toy stuff, baby doll stuff. You name it, they pretty well made something in that realm. And so they had a warehouse in the Kansas City, Missouri area. And that's where they would have their Thanksgiving open house, where you could go in and buy Leonard product, mostly core, but you had ultra core, and then you had all the other ones. And you would get weird stuff. You would get stuff that you would be getting O-ring stuff from the 90s or the 80s.
Wow.
They had the astronaut stuff, the space ones that had like the Apollo spacecraft and those different other ones. And just a weird assortment. And not only that, but you'd be getting things from other countries. You get the packaging from Australia, the packaging from Spain, the packaging from Russia. It was just nuts, man. And so I knew about that. It was like this. You started hearing the rumblings on it on the internet, and you just kind of thought it was one of those things like, oh, I saw a Sasquatch. Yeah, sure you did. Well, I was at the Leonard open house. Yeah, sure you went there. But it actually existed. And so that's when I kind of started putting the feelers out. And then I got to go. It was the year of COVID, and I got to go there. So they weren't going to have the open house. So I got a free reign of the place. And I didn't get to see the cool stuff, but I still saw some pretty damn neat stuff that was there,
Wow.
And that was kind of like where their inventory went. Like if they had damaged inventory or the batteries ran out, they sent it there. And then what was amazing, man, was across the street was their archive. And I got to see their entire archive from 1979 all the way to today. And they keep at least one of everything that they manufacture, because for quality control, if they ever have to go back, they have it there. So I was like, yeah, I mean, dude, it was just mind blowing. It was, and so anyway, I knew that they had offices in Oxnard. That's where they do all their designing. So their entire design team is US based. So flash forward to 2025, I'm getting my stuff into Oxnard, and then he's putting me in contact with a guy named Mark. And I just start, shooting the shit with Mark. And I find out that Mark was the designer, the brains behind the Ultra Core line.
Yeah.
And so I was like, really? And so he and I just started shooting the shit and everything like that. And he was explaining to me the different concepts and this and that, And I was like, dude, I'm doing a series right now. I already filmed it with Chuck Scirocco.
Yeah. Yep.
We're dropping third video tomorrow. And I was like, hey, listen, we want to have you on where we can talk. He was like, yeah, I can get my schematics and everything like that. And he goes, would y'all really want to talk to me? I'm like, And so we were talking, and I was like, hey, I can't make it to Oxnard. I've got too much going on. I said, do you have any Ultra Core there? And he goes, Greg, we got a ton of Ultra Core here.
That's
so
wild.
He started sending me pictures. And I was like, if you can just pack it up, I'll pay for the shipping. And so today we just, we got everything in yesterday. but I was sick Monday and Tuesday. I told you I had an upper respiratory,
Yep.
and I'm literally running on acetaminophen, amoxicillin, and pure. I think I'm drinking orange juice, go-go juice. That, in fact, I love this show. I'll do anything for the show. So we got the stuff in. I'll die in about an hour. We got the stuff in, and I checked in all of the accessory sets, and these were sets I never really remember these coming out. You know, I remember the first wave, which were they were good. I'm not gonna lie.
I remember it at Walmart. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I checked in. I think it's 15 different SKUs of the 1999 to 2000 series. And then tomorrow I'll be checking in all the figure sets, which were kind of like the standard play figure sets, where it's a totally outfitted figure and it comes with one firearm and stuff like that. But it's
Right.
I mean, dude, there's just one figure. He's called the Survival Specialist. And if you look at it, he'll go on tomorrow. He's got camouflage. He's got ripped up camouflage pants. And then he's got a quote unquote burlap poncho with a rope, a la Rambo First Blood. He's got his gun showing and everything like that, and he's got his rifle and everything. And I'm talking to Mark, and he's like, "Hey, did you see the Survival Specialist?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Well, do you know where that came from?" I'm like, "Duh, First Blood, man." He goes, "Good, you know your stuff." I'm like, "Dude, I'm like the quasi 300-pound nerd." Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're talking to an expert in nerddom here, brother. But so we got the 3 3/4 inch stuff. It's been doing really good. We're finally kind of getting a foothold back with the 3 3/4 inch guys, which I said, I'm a fan as much as I am, a company guy. I mean, I'd love to take home every one of them. In fact, the one set you probably, I don't know if you follow the 3 3/4 as much as far as core goes, but they got a play set called The Rock. Have you seen that one?
No, I haven't. I'm not familiar with the little guys as much as the big figures.
So what happened was, and I've been trying to really talk to convince Jim, because as you and I were talking, we're kind of in this new next evolution, the silver age or whatever, or as I said, the new renaissance of collecting, where there's all these people that are really developing a lot of 3 3/4 inch O-rings.
Right.
And you and I were O-ring guys. And so I loved O-rings from Leonard. I loved O-rings from Hasbro. Yep. And there's so many new guys that are doing O-rings right now. And of course, I'm sure Jen's probably sitting at his home in Hong Kong going, why does this guy bug me? But I was like, brother, you gotta do O-rings, man. Bring back the O-rings. There's such a renaissance for that. But no, the Rock, if you look at the Rock playset, you'll look at it, and whoever designed it, it wasn't Mark. I want to try to figure out who designed it, but you can tell they designed it based upon the Navarone playset from Mark's.
Oh, wait a second. Okay, you're talking about the 80s core, the ones the O-ring guys. Okay, I remember that now. Yes, I remember the Rock. Yes, I remember. I think Kmart had that.
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
when I was a kid. Yes, I actually remember almost for sure that set.
Yeah, I don't know how long they've had it out, but they've been cranking it out. In fact, we got some in, and I mean, dude, it's like the guy literally took a Navarone playset and just scaled it down for 3 3/4 inch.
Oh my God!
Yeah, and I was going nuts anyway because I had the Iwo Jima playset back in the '80s, which was the green version of the Navarone. Right. And that's where I put my Cobra guys. I put my Cobra guys in there. But no, it's we're really trying to get a foothold for Leonard, because if you go to stores, I don't think they have any product at Walmart. Nope. They haven't had product in Target for years. And the last product that they had that was all licensed product. They had Aliens, and then they had I think they had Predator.
They had Predator, yeah. They did that.
They had King Kong.
With, the
Rampage.
Rampage, yeah. They had some really. Leonard made some really cool stuff that used to be at Walmart. Like they made the big King Kong.
Yeah.
That. I see it at Ollie's. I see it at Ollie's every once in a while. I'll see the core stuff, like stuff that, like, I I think Walter McLeod posts a lot of core updates on
Yeah,
on
Walter
Facebook.
does. He's like a big cheerleader for liqueur.
He is for sure, and I'll see him like I've never seen. Why have I not seen this shit anywhere? I mean, but I see it.
It's everywhere but here.
Yeah,
It's totally nuts. Australia gets some really cool stuff. In fact, when they were talking to me, they were like, "Hey, listen, okay, this is what we can ship you from China." I was like, "Okay, I want the Beast Bomber, which was that B-17 bomber that had the
very
jets."
cool. Yes,
Very cool. Couldn't get it. There was one that was like a '57 Chevy. Wasn't my choice of something I'd want, but it was a really really unique piece. The P-51 Mustangs that we brought in, those did we're almost sold out of the
so
P-51s.
you couldn't get the bomber?
No,
Why? Why?
I'm
Why couldn't?
angling.
Man, have you seen people who? No, they sold that here at one time, right? Did they sell that here at Toys R Us?
Maybe the Beast Bomber's been around for a little bit. It's that
I've seen
tiny
people
price is why.
customize those for GI
Yeah.
Joe. Uh,
Well, and see, that's the thing about it. It's really weird, the dichotomy. There were people that'll buy that. They'll buy Chat May.
yep.
They'll buy MNC Toy Center and do the stuff, and then they'll take them and they'll customize them and make them either for Cobra or they'll make them for
Yeah.
Cobra Guard or whatever. But then there are these guys that are just they're such purists, you know. They're like, yeah, and I'm like, yeah, I'm the same way. I'm like,
no.
dude, I can remember when the Vamp came out. I bought a second Vamp when I was a kid, and I took that thing apart and spray painted that thing black, and it belonged to Cobra.
Absolutely. Before Cobra released the version of theirs, right?
The Stinger, before they released the Stinger. Yeah. To me, that's the fun part about it all. Is taking all this other stuff and then making it your own, or customizing it further. But no, that's basically it in a nutshell. We've got. When I left today, I had 52 Leonard products. If you're looking for them, you go on our website, go to search, and type in GILN.
Okay.
And because there's not a Leonard placeholder yet.
Okay.
But if you go to search and excuse me, that acetaminophen's kicking in, GILN, and it'll bring up anything that's Leonard that we have. And then tomorrow I'll be dropping the rest of the action figures. And I will say this, and I keep telling this to everybody on social media: the more you support, and I'm not trying to be a shill, that's my company. The more you buy, the more you support that particular line.
Absolutely.
The more apt we're going to go buy more of it.
Yeah, I think that's good capitalism.
It's just good business. And so I had one guy who was like, "Well, can you give me a coupon?" I'm like, "Brother, it took me an act of God to get this stuff here. Just buy it, But we get those. We all get those. But they've already got some. I was talking to Mark today, and he was like, "Hey man, how's the Primal Clash doing for you?" Which is all their dinosaurs and stuff, which are super cool. And I said, "We're doing pretty good." And he goes, "Man, we got some here." And I was like, "Listen, they're running a sale right now. If anybody's interested, Oxnard is running a sale at their R&D. It's their Oxnard orifice. Jesus, their Oxnard. I can't even say the word. The California office, Oxnard. I'm not drinking, man. I promise you. But they're basically having an open house there at their offices, and people can go there and shop for anything and everything. I will tell you that the Humvees, I don't know, do you remember the ATAC Humvees that they did, the 2-seaters, the 1/6 scale 2-seaters? Do you remember these?
Yes, I do remember those.
Okay. I have one. I bought it from Jack Hall. I bought a green one, and I looked out and I got the anti-aircraft gun for the back. They've got one there. They got the green one, the military one. They have the AT yellow one in their boxes still. Everything else is going for what I consider pretty moderate, just good prices in my opinion. But they got those ATACs for $500. So you gotta really want that bad boy to get it.
Whoa.
Yeah.
They understand the market right now, don't they?
Mark sent me the pictures and he goes, "Hey man, did you see the ATACs?" I'm like, "Yeah, brother, but what's up with the price?" And he was like,
No, I got hey, probably.
And he was like, well, Jim told us to put him at that price. He goes, we're never going to sell him. But this
No.
is what was cool, and this is what was really interesting about if you're watching the video series with me and Chuck, you know, and we've always said this. It's the same thing with Ace Allgood. It's the same thing with Chuck and everybody. We always tell people we are not experts by any means. We are collecting enthusiasts, and we're
Right.
just trying to get the conversation going.
Right.
And one of the things we had on one of the videos, I don't know if it's been posted or not, we had my green ATAX there, and Chuck had his yellow one. And we were talking about that there were rumblings that there were other colors. Well, Mark's walking around with his phone just showing me all this crap at their Oxnard office. They had a yellow one, they had a green one, they had a desert tan one. Then they actually had an ambulance version.
What?
Yeah, and then there was a fifth one. I can't remember what it is. I asked Mark to send them. I don't know what it was. But I don't even remember those existing. I remember the green one because I bought a green one years ago.
I remember the green one.
And I tried to paint it yellow, but the plastic was that waxy plastic and it would not paint right.
Yeah. It's hard to
And so I just sold it to a friend of mine. I think he sanded it down and repainted it or whatever it was like that. But Jack Hall was getting rid of his, and it still has the leather bikini top on it with a big Adventure Team sticker on top. It's awesome.
Wow. So they made a snowmobile and a four-wheeler, didn't they?
Yeah, and they've got those there.
I can't believe they still have extra stock. That's what shocked me when you posted that on Facebook. I'm like, holy shit. That's like the Leonard stuff from the 90s.
That was what was so weird about the sale that they had over in Kansas City, Missouri, is you see these old ones popping up, including O-rings popping up there. And
O-rings.
O-rings.
How far do those go back?
To 1987.
Yeah, because I remember those. I remember those guys.
Yeah,
like it was yesterday. They had the guy had like the Fritz style helmet on. I had like 4 or 5 of him because I made like a troop builder of that guy because they were so much cheaper than the GI Joes, right?
Right.
And I had a ton of those Leonard figures. You just go get those, and they'd be great.
And I remember when I went to my Walmart, they always sold them in 3-packs for some reason.
Yeah, they had the 3-packs. Yep.
Yeah,
for sure.
And I liked them better because the quality was better. The plastic was probably, in my eyes, comparable to Hasbro. Whereas, like, if you got the Remco Defenders of Freedom or whatever the hell they were,
Remco guys, yep.
Yeah, they were cool looking, but the paint apps were really cheap, and the plastic was kind of cheap. It was almost like a Mexican bootleg of GI Joe or something.
Yep.
But the Leonard ones were cool. And what was so awesome was when I was there that one time, they actually had some like some of the artwork up there from the original guys from the 80s. And I was like, God, who do I need to talk to figure out this stuff? Because I mean, it's funny though, man, because it's like, okay, I've been running Cotswold for 5 years now, and I've worked for 13 before that. And you kind of, when you're working in it all the time, you're not really paying attention to stuff, and you really don't care about concepts or whatever like that or prototypes. But to somebody else, they really dig it. And that's why for them, I guess they're working there for so long at Leonard. They see the artwork and they're like, they could give a shit, But to me, I'm like, that is some awesome artwork back in the 80s,
Oh, yeah. I mean, 80s artwork in general, just from all, I don't know if you saw Paul Knapp the other night had a Toy Room Insanity, this guy on there. He had all the old, you remember the knockoff Masters of the Universe figures from when we were kids?
Oh, was it from Remco?
Remco, and then some of the others. They had like the Galaxy Pirates, and
yeah.
I was like, this guy's a wild YouTube channel. He had his case, and it had the card art for some of those, and I was like, damn, the card art in the 1980s for some of those is stuff today that it almost looks like Franzetta-esque, and you're like, I remember all that at KB Toys. Like, shit, it's just some of that stuff is so beautiful.
I mean, it was kind of like an end of an era. I mean, it 80s, after the 80s, when it kind of went off and more, especially, I mean, you see today the packaging art, and hell, I've seen AI packaging art that's total ass.
Oh, terrible.
But I mean, if you go back to shit, man, if you go back to Micronauts when they were doing the aliens like Membros or whatever,
Oh
I
yeah.
want to say that the guy who did the artwork for those was the guy who did artwork for Kiss.
Wow, that's cool.
No,
Yeah, I mean,
Google it, man. Google Membros and Luminos and all these other guys. And I want to say the guy who did the artwork for that was the guy who did artwork for one of the Kiss covers.
wow, that's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. I mean, to me, that's some of the best. That's some of the best work from the '70s and '80s is the packaging art that came out with these guys. I mean,
Oh, for sure.
Master Universe, you had the Remcos, all those guys. I mean, dude, I can remember going um, to tells you how much of Podunk town I grew up in. I love it though. Had a Piggly Wiggly,
Hell yeah.
and then next to Piggly Wiggly was Perry's Five and Dime. And my mom would go to Piggly Wiggly, and I go to Perry's, and I'd be getting my GI Joe. They didn't have Master of the Universe, but they had all the knockoff Remco. So I had like the Skull Dude, I had
Oh man.
the bird dude, and the purple lizard dude with the tail, you know. And then the Imperial, remember the Imperial dragons and the
Oh yeah.
Imperial brand dragons and rhinoceroses that had the little saddles on them.
Absolutely.
Hell, man, I was pimping those things out for my Motu guys, you know.
Oh, that was so Sword and Sorcery, man. When we were kids, it was like you would go to like KB and you could get one Masters of the Universe figure and then maybe you could get a knockoff. And you had to go through all these knockoff figures and look around because they were so weird and interesting. You didn't know which one you wanted to get. And I always got the wrong gosh darn one. And I just brought it home and I'm like, shit, I want to go back and get that other dude now. But yeah, I had the Imperial Dragons. I mean, I had Black Star, all that stuff. And man, the art
Yeah.
and all that was so dope.
Well, it was like, what was it? What is it? It wasn't okay. So Black Star, if I remember, Black Star came out a year before Master of the Universe.
Right. And they had the Filmation movie, I think, that went with it.
They had
And
Filmation going with it, and then this is what was really cool because I was all into that too, man. Was like Thundar the Barbarian.
oh,
I
oh,
think Jack Kirby had a hand in Thundar the Barbarian.
oh yeah, for sure. I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure he did. Now, somebody out there in the comments could probably tell us. We got some probably experts out there, but I think he did
yeah,
do the character development for some of that. Oh,
yeah,
dude. And
yeah.
why we never got a Thundar figure is just wild.
Right. You know, I mean, you had
Wild.
Thundar, you had Ukla, and then you had the Prince chick. I forgot always her name.
Ariel. And then
Ariel.
all
There
the
you go.
villains. Could you imagine figures of all those villains? Those wild villains
That
they
one
had?
guy with that one guy that was like kind of like Mechanic, not Mechanic. He had the different faces, you know.
Yeah, the face would spin around and shit. And
Yeah,
he was
yeah,
always,
yeah.
oh, that was, I think, talking about the 80s. That was the best part about the Motu scale of figures, that 5.5 inch. You could find all the different knockoff brands that scaled well with that.
You could.
And it was hard. Any other line like GI Joe and Eagle Force, it was really hard to find a lot of different stuff that scaled well together. That's the cool thing about today and all the new toy lines, which are so many. They
Yeah.
all basically scale together. But Motu and Remco back in the day, man, dude, it was awesome. It was just
Yeah,
so
they
great.
had. What was the one they had? Okay, they had the ones that were like there was like there's a purple lizard guy with the tail, and then there was the black and yellow hawk looking dude, and then there was the skull dude, and he had the cape. Because I remember I got a marker on my skull head guy, and I took liquid paper and put liquid paper on the guy to cover the marker. But then there was then they had the other guys that were like DC Comics inspired. Some gray haired guy that was built, he was ripped.
It was a Warlord.
That's it.
Warlord
Yeah.
and Hercules and
Yeah.
Daimo, or is it Deimos or something like that? Yeah.
Mhm.
I had a
Yeah.
bunch of those all with the DC Comics.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh shit, man. I loved Warlord. I see those Masters of the Universe Origins figures now. I'm not really big on the super articulated stuff, the Masterverse, but I like the ones that are almost like the old He-Man figures. And there's a guy I follow on Instagram, and I've talked about him on one of my live streams, but he does 3D printing, and he will 3D print all the stuff so you can take a Masters of the Universe Origins body, pop off a few things, and you can recreate the Warlord figure. He has all the parts.
Really?
You just have to paint them yourself. He'll paint them for you, which is a lot more expensive, but he 3D prints everything, and it looks so dope. It's just like, damn, I'd like to, I don't need anything else to collect, so I've never bought it, but it looks so
Man, I'm
cool.
the same way because I remember when they came out with the ones that were like they tried to be as close to the originals as they could.
Yep.
And I was a man. I loved Man at Arms. And Man at Arms was he was my guy.
He's
I didn't get.
badass.
I be honest with you. I didn't give two shits about He-Man. Man at Arms was my guy. He-Man was kind of like he was his right hand man to Man at Arms, because he was a badass.
Man at Arms was like the warrior.
Yeah, yeah. And I figured out a way to jack up his armor where he had like two greaves on his legs, and I cut part of his armor off here and reversed it and put it on there.
Oh yeah.
Totally
Bashing.
jacked him up. And my friend's like, "Where'd you get that other than Man at Arms?" Like, I built him.
I built my own Man at Arms, dude.
Built my own Man at Arms. So yeah, no, I mean, we grew up in good times, man. We really grew up in good times. I feel bad for the kids these days. They ain't got nothing. I mean, the creativity and the imagination behind the toys we had in the 70s and 80s was just mind numbing. Mind numbing.
Absolutely. Such great toys, such great, even like the ones that only lasted like like Bionic 6. When you
Yeah.
see Bionic 6 and you're like, oh shit, I remember going into KB Toys and seeing Bionic 6 and going, those are super cool. I think I had one figure, but I'm really shocked somebody hasn't brought back Bionic 6,
I'm surprised too, because
for O-Ring.
what's his name over at Nacelle Toys? He's been what's his name? Brian Volk-Weiss, I forget his name. He's been grabbing he's got like biker mice from Mars, and
Yep.
I think he picked up the Power Lords license.
He picked up Power Lords, and then Max Steel, the robot thing. They even had a cartoon, I think, on Tubi that went with that toy line.
Yeah, he was working on that. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I'm surprised that had him snagged up. Because it was like that. It was getting late for me at the time because I was starting to discover girls, but it was like oh God, what was the one where it was all space themed and they had magnetic feet. They were tinier guys. Remember
Starcom. Starcom's one of the greatest toy lines ever made. They partnered with NASA. NASA helped fund some of that. I had all the Starcom stuff, and I sold it in a fucking garage sale. I loved Starcom. Oh my gosh!
And then, okay, who made Starcom? Was it Mattel? Were they doing it, or who was making Starcom?
It was Coleco, I think.
It was
Coleco, and that, oh man, those ships, and they had all the mechanical features like the space shuttle looking thing and the little I can't remember what the villains' names were, but man, Starcom was the shit.
Oh man, what was the one called? It was what was the main bad guy ship? Because the little ships were called parasites, I think.
Okay, I can't remember what the main bad guy ship was. Like a triangle type thing, a little bit.
Yeah, and it had like a thing where it would land and you could open it up and the vehicle would come out of the ramp or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah. No, when I was a kid, when I was younger, I mean, I wanted to be an astronaut so bad. I mean, I remember when they had the space camp in Alabama. I don't even know it's still open. I wanted to go to that. So I got older, but then the Starcom came out, and I was like, oh hell, I don't care, man. They can tell me I'm a nerd, a geek, or whatever, but I was buying every one of those Marine guys, and they had the Marine guys, and the quote unquote Air Force guys, and the other ones. And I just went crazy. Oh, I love that stuff.
You could take that shuttle, and you could. I think one of the Space Marines had like a little tracked vehicle or a car that would sit down in that thing and then pop out and go.
Yep.
Is it Ramen Toys?
Yes.
They do. They're what's the name of their Centurions line that they just did? Remember Centurions? Looks really nice. I would love to see one of those guys get a Starcom license. I don't know if Coleco's even still around. But
I don't think that they're around. I think Hasbro bought them out, or somebody did.
They? Maybe Hasbro will do a HasLab for $5,000 for 2 Starcom vehicles.
Sorry, did I do that online? Sorry.
Oh, did you see that? Are you a Tron? I'm not a big Tron guy, but I saw their Tron.
I'm a Tron fan. I'm a 9 Inch Nails fan, but I am not a Jared Leto fan.
No, me neither.
So
he's in that new Masters of the Universe movie as Skeletor, and I'm.
Oh, really you serious?
Yeah, I'm really worried about it. I'm really worried about it. I've heard a lot of like positive reviews of the movie, and which really worries me because whenever you start seeing positive reviews all over the internet, you know something's probably wrong.
You know, when I heard that they were going to put it on Earth like they did the Dolph Lundgren one, I'm like, man, come on, man, put some money into this thing, you know?
Make it the real He-Man, you know?
Yeah, and I'll probably hack people off by saying this. Don't make it the Filmation He-Man. Make it the original He-Man from the mini comics, you know?
Yeah, the Mark, I can't remember that guy's name, Mark something, the guy, the original
Like,
artist.
was it like Mark Swift or something like that?
Something like that. The guy who
Something like
the
that.
guy who drew the original concept art.
Yeah.
Make it
Yeah,
the dark sword and sorcery that it was really from the start.
well, yeah,
Yeah.
because He-Man was a barbarian, you know? And then he got the armor and this and that, and then it was totally different than the Filmation one. All power to the Filmation one. It really probably helped the brand a lot. But
It did. I just
I
not my
remember,
thing.
I always remember reading the mini comics and thinking, man, I love this whole. It definitely had, it had some Frank Kirby, what is it, New Gods or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, yep.
Influence. And then it's obviously there's some Conan the Barbarian type of influence on it. Which, by the way, did you know that the creator of Conan the Barbarian is from Texas?
Robert E. Howard? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was from Texas. He's from close to where you guys are, isn't he? Or Jim? Yeah.
Spitting distance from here, actually.
Oh,
I was
man,
I was lost my shit when I read that.
Oh, dude, he created some wild stuff. And I was reading about him one day, like his original Conan stories, like he pushed them to weird tales and they didn't want it to do with any of them. I think the first one they actually wanted was the serpent, the god and the bull, the god and the bull or something like that.
Yeah.
But what I can't remember the name of it was, but that was the first one they had. Like he had a ton of stories before that. That was so successful. They went back. I'm probably screwing it up, but I know that he really struggled early on.
Yeah. Which is weird. It just blew my mind. One, it was because I think he was was it the Depression, 20s and 30s that he was writing it?
Absolutely.
And then he was from Texas. I always thought, generally these authors that were coming out of from Chicago or New York or whatever,
or
like
England or somewhere.
Yeah. And he was from a podunk little town here in Texas, man. It was just totally crazy. I was blown away about that. So
I want to say he gave an interview for a magazine before he died, and and somebody on there can probably fact check me on this. I'm probably going to paraphrase this story, but I think he said in the article, like they asked him how he came up with the Conan stories, and he said basically, and he was probably being a little carnival-y. He said basically, I start writing and I go into a trance as if I've been transported to where Conan really existed, like back before the Ice Age, before the Younger Dryas and everything. And Conan basically, he channeled him and he's telling him these stories. That's what he said in an interview, something along those lines, which that guy was probably crazy. And that's why he was such a great writer. And he might've been telling the truth, which I want to believe he was.
Well, I'm not going to lie. Peyote did run rampant for a while here in Texas. So he might have been on some peyote. So
I want to believe that he sat there, started writing in the spirit of Conan the Barbarian, who was back when Atlantis was around, came and told him all about it. I will. If somebody told me that one night and I was drinking, I'd be like, yep, I'll believe that.
Yep.
I'll believe anything, man. No, but the 80s, man, the 80s was such an awesome time. And that's the cool thing about now is we didn't really ever get a really good Conan line in the 80s. I know Remco did one.
They tried,
in the 90s. But now you look at the stuff from Heroic Signatures and the Frazetta Girls and all that Mezco. Like, there's so many Conan lines now, and it's just like shit. There's just so much stuff now, and it's just like it is wild. I hope the bubble. I feel like a bubble's forming a little bit, but maybe not.
I don't know, man, because it's like kind of like you said. I mean, you're seeing Conan stuff come out. You're seeing Ultraman stuff coming out.
Oh, yeah.
You're talking about Brian Volk-Weiss doing his stuff, and just people are picking things left and right. And I'm just like, dude, just ride the lightning.
Yes.
Just ride it.
Buy what you want.
Yeah.
I'm a super fan of the Bandai doing the
Yep.
Shogun Warriors, recreating the Shogun Warriors, and like
Oh,
improving upon, in my opinion, a flawless toy. But the stuff they're putting out now is just like, you're like, holy shit, this is crazy.
I gotta watch out, man. I had those mega Shogun Warriors back in
Those are
when I was a kid.
so great.
Those I forget what's the Japanese have a name for those. I forget what it is.
Jumbo Machinders.
Jumbo Machinders. Yeah. And because I would see all those people that are doing like they're doing jumbo aliens and jumbo this and like that, and I'm like, no, and until you get Great Mazinga and all those other guys, it's like it ain't the same. But that was, I mean, it was like nuts, Brad. I mean, you had that coming on. You had Migo was bringing in Micronauts, Microman, all like that stuff, and man, dude, just you go down a rabbit hole just looking at all of the Japanese toys, that were coming over here, and then you go into Japanese animated shows. I mean, like Star Blazers, and then Battle of the Planets, and all that.
Yes.
It was Battle of the Planets. Why has it? Okay, was it true that? Do you have some of those Battle of the Planets? Those Gotcha Man sets?
I do. Yeah, I do. You would think, for as popular as those cartoons were, like Science Team Ninja Gotcha Man was what it was called in Japan, G-Force Battle Plans here, you would think there would have been a massive line of action figures for that. Nope. Hardly at all.
Did they make when it was popular in Japan, when it was under the Gotcha Man name, did like Takara or anybody else do figures for them?
Nobody did action figures. They did the ships. They did
Probably,
like a Corgi, not Corgi, but a Japanese company like Corgi did a ship of the God Phoenix. They would do small 1/35th or whatever the scale figures of all the characters. They had some die-cast characters similar to the Shogun Warriors, the small character vehicles. But yeah, they didn't really do any action figures of those guys. They had some Safubi dolls, but nothing. You didn't get anything. You would have thought they would have had a Migo line. It wasn't until I think the 90s that they put out some figures, like some 5 points figures, and those are fairly expensive. But now there's a lot of people, like Storm Collectibles they've done like 2 of them. They've done Ken the Eagle and the Princess, but it's really hard to find anything, and the stuff you can find is it's super expensive.
Well, because I mean, you got to commit to 5 figures if you're going to do the team.
Right?
Has anybody done the entire team?
Not in an action figure form. Not that I've ever seen. I've been on Syndico Japan, and I've looked for Gotcha Man shit a lot, because you can get there's a ton of people who've done the God Phoenix, the ship. Ton of Art Storm's done them. There's a ton of people who do those ships, but the figures, for some reason, I know SciComm BBI. You remember they did the girl. But they never did any of the guys. I know Metacom Real Action Heroes in the 90s did Jason the Condor, and they did Ken the Eagle, but they didn't do the other figures for some reason. I don't know why.
And see, that's the weird thing, is they'll kind of dabble it in front of you, and they'll do the 2 guys, but then they won't do Tiny or Cheops or Princess and stuff like. I've seen Princess around, but it's like, for me, it's like, if somebody would just go in and do those, and then do all the bad guys and do all the foot soldiers,
Oh, dude.
And hell, even do a 7 Sark 7. I don't care. Do a 7 Sark 7 and a damn dog.
Yeah, and Ace from Ramen Toys is doing a line of, what is that? Same size as Mask was back in the 90s. I can't. They're 1/8 smaller than 1/18th. Are they 1/24th?
Maybe.
He's doing an O-ring style 1/24th figure of Battle of the Planets figures. So the first one he's releasing is Ken, the Eagle, and then his ship. Is it the Arrow or something? He's doing that, and it's really cool. And he said in an interview he's going to do all 5 characters in their vehicles.
I'm going to have to pay attention. I'm going to have to
check that out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, 124 is not my scale really. I saw it. I passed on the pre-order for the kin, but maybe in the aftermarket. But they look really good. They look really well done. But man, there's so many good properties out of Japan. You know.
We got a taste. They really didn't. I don't think they really did any Star Blazers. I mean, the Yamato, they did a ton of, like kind of like you said about the Phoenix. They did a bunch of Yamatos.
Yep.
But the only one that they really, in my opinion, that really jumped on was Robotech. And of course, that was,
Absolutely.
what was that? Macross Saga and all that other stuff. In fact, what was really funny was, I know when they brought it here, it was Matchbox got the license, if I remember correctly. But I remember, I'm forgetting more than I can remember. Okay. Robotech was actually 3 different series put together. This was it the second series where it had the character named Scott, who was a Mospita. You had the motorcycle. Do you remember that?
The motorcycle to transform into the
Yeah.
armor. Yes, they have those at KBs. Those are freaking awesome.
Well, this is what was crazy. I can remember being at Toys R Us before that came, that name, before Robotech even came. And it was just some sub license from somebody. But did the colors around that funky grayish blue?
Yep.
And it folded over the guy. And I was like, this is interesting. And of course, back when we were kids, you weren't looking just for one figure. You were looking for a series of figures. So I was like, well, what does this go to? Does it go to Transformers? Does it go to Star Wars? And so I didn't buy it, and I could kick myself because it was one of the first releases that they had. And whoever made it was like Takara Bandai. It was just somebody just imported them in.
Right.
And it was just a beautiful recreation of that Mospita bike that fitted right on them. And then Robotech came out like a year or two later after that.
It came out a year or two later. We had the toys. We had the small O-ring figures and some of the robots. And then, do you remember Exo Squad from
Yes.
Playmates? What a great toy line. And they had a series of Robotech toys later on, late in that toy line, where they got the Robotech license from whoever had it in Japan, and they made a series of Robotech figures for that line, which were really cool toys, right? I'm like, shit, man. It's just
that one was a cool line. What was the other one? Oh, Spiral Zone, man. Do you remember Spiral Zone?
I do.
Do you know the story behind that?
No, but I had a few of those guys.
So Spiral Zone was another Japanese series, and the toys were just very unique because the Japanese market, as you know, was unique. And then they tried to transcribe it over here. So yeah, when you were a kid, if you saw those figures, you're like, these are kind of weird,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But it was one of those toy lines because, like you said, you'd have, it was like 1986, 1987. Man, we were just getting hit with toys left and right. And I remember that came out, and I was like, well, that's kind of cool. And then I never could find them. And then they were gone. But yeah, you had Spyro Zone, and you had all those other ones. And then what we were talking about earlier about Dino Riders, you had Dino Riders and those other guys. And
it's funny you mentioned Spiral Zone. I got out a box of Christmas pictures from the 80s where I was showing my son all the toys. Because every Christmas we'd take a picture with what we got for Christmas. And I got that year for Christmas, I got 2 Spiral Zone figures because they were almost 8 inches tall.
They were like Mego size or something.
And they came with accessory sets with clothes.
Yep.
And they were super cool. And I have a picture. I'll have to post that to my Facebook. I'll scan it in. But I got 2 Spiral Zone figures that year. Those things were super cool because I remember loving to be able to take the clothes off, And
they weren't like the standard plastic dolls. They were their throwbacks to the Migos and the G.I. Joes of the 60s and 70s, man.
Oh man, there's so many forgotten toy lines in the 1980s too, like stuff that I've even forgot existed. Oh God, you could do a whole year's worth of shows on the Sergeant Rock line from Remco. I mean, I didn't even know what that line was, but I had a bunch of them.
I have 99% of that collection now.
Do you? What are you missing?
Oh, I got the helicopter. I got the bad guys helicopter with the box and everything with it. I'm just getting down to the nitty gritty.
Did they have a duck?
Oh yeah, they had 2 of them. They had the bad guys duck. and they had that one. The things I'm looking for are the basically like the radios to the LEMs, because there was a bad guy's LEM, then there was a good guy's LEM that was green, and then they had another one that was brown, and the radio fit differently. There was a radio and a gas tank in the back of them. And I even went so far that they were still using those LEMs when they were doing those Defenders of Peace, American Defense Force. That was tan and brown camo, and I bought it anyway because I was going to put it in. Because I remember because I want to say Sergeant Rock even came out before G.I. Joe.
And like 82. It was probably 82.
It was right there.
Yep.
It was, yeah. Because I remember I remember I got the folding play set.
Yep.
And I got the LEM, and then I got the guys, and I could always remember I could find pretty much all of the other guys at Walmart or at Kmart. I never could find them at any other place.
Yep.
But I've got a shelf. I'll send you some pictures later. I've got a shelf of nothing but those, and I started doing I went down the road of getting like the variants where, like, instead of having a beard, he's got a goatee, or
Wow, I didn't know it went that deep.
He went for 2 years, and they even had, brother. I got to send this picture. They got, and I didn't even know it existed until I bought a collection of this guy. They got this little tracked vehicle. It looks like a lawnmower, okay? And in the front of it, it's got a 30 cal, and in the back of it's got a little flag with the radio that fits in the back. And he just kind of sits in there, and he's kind of traversing it, And it's like, I was like, what were they smoking at that point? It has to be from another Remco set, because it looks absolutely just asinine. Hey, let's go into combat with this thing. Oh yeah, let's take the Black and Decker out in the field for a while.
I got a bunch of Sergeant Rock comics from the late 70s, early 80s, even up through the 80s, and you can go through those, because I used to, when I was sorting my comics 25, 30 years ago. You'll go through there and they'll have the ads for those figures in there, and they'll have, I think it was series 1, and you're like, shit, man. You just sit there, you just look at it, you start remembering all this stuff, like the Mego ads and everything. You're like, oh my God, I remember being a little kid. I remember when I remember being like 6 years old, sitting in the bathroom taking a shit with my comics, looking at all these toys in here. It was the Sears Christmas catalog, Montgomery Ward, and comics. Big stack right by the toilet when I was a kid.
I had Sears, I had the JCPenney one. I didn't get Montgomery Ward or the Ward's catalog, but I would get those two, and then I would get Johnson Smith. I don't even remember the Johnson Smith catalog from the 80s. Everything you never knew existed. Oh, dude. No. They don't. Okay, so they weren't a toy company. They were like a Magic / Gag / they were like Spencer's, but a mail order Spencer's back in the day.
Oh, okay.
And so I would go through them. That's where I would get my whoopee cushions, and I would get my fake dog poo, and my handshake where it drew, did all like that. They went under, but I would, man. That's what I was telling my kids. I got, my son's, he's 22. My daughter just turned 25. My other daughter's 28. I was like, you will never appreciate running down to get to the mailbox to get the Sears Wish book.
Oh no, nobody will ever know what that's like.
And that's when you're seeing Star Wars, G.I. Joe's, Motu. And then that's when you'd even see the knockoff stuff. You're like, that ain't G.I. Joe, but I want it anyway, In fact, I don't know if you saw the post that I had of that Mountain Play set that I was asking about, was that really a G.I. Joe set? And it wasn't. But, you wanted it. And then you remember it. It's kind of like you're saying, you're like, I remember this one play set, Did it really exist? And it did, Yeah,
JCPenney and Sears would always have those knockoff play sets that would go with G.I. Joe or some other toy lines, right? And
their play sets in particular, because it was back when they were still doing kind of like how, when you had the G.I. Joe Adventure Team headquarters, which is that cardboard encased in vinyl type of thing.
Absolutely, yep.
They were still making vinyl play sets for Masters of the Universe. They were doing a bunch of them for Star Wars. Yep. They did some of them for G.I. Joe and stuff like that. And if you find them, they're virtually impossible. There's one, I think it's called Space Fortress. And it forms up to look like a mountain. And then you put the gun set that's on top, it snaps up top. and you just put it on your shelf. But when you undo it, you had snaps and it folds out to this entire play set,
Wow.
and it's got all these little cardboard pieces. And it came out it was like Star Wars, Buck Rogers, and Battlestar Galactica were just like all kind of mixing with each other. And I bought one. I found it at this antique shop, and I was like, "Oh, sweet Mother Mary, I got to get this thing." And then when I tried to fold it down, the vinyl just wasn't quite there, and it just all cracked.
Oh.
But I enjoyed it for 2.5 milliseconds, when I was doing it.
I hate when that
But
happens.
it's those play sets. They were made by all these different companies. They did the carry. Dude, you're talking about artwork. I've seen these pictures. We digitally restored some of these Star Wars carry cases, and they were called like Star Warriors, or
Wow.
And it was like Chewbacca looked like a chick, and Darth Vader looked like an BDSM, SMDFDM, whatever.
Yep.
He had everything but the ball gag, and but it was just this crazy knockoff artwork, and it's like you're talking about. The artwork it's just phenomenal, even for the knockoff crap.
Yeah, and those guys are lost to time.
Yeah, and that's what David Howard. I had him restore two of these the figure carry cases, which, I mean, you remember, God, how many times did you go to, you could go to Walmart or whatever, and you could get the Darth Vader or the C-3PO, or you could get, 2 or 3 of these other ones at the price of the Darth Vader. But we came across the store. We were heading towards, I think we were heading towards Steve's show in Louisville. It was me, David, and Matt Stevenson. And we came across both of those figure cases that, that had that blow molded or vacuum formed little shells inside of it. You put your figures in. And they just had these 2 different ones that the artwork was just so freakishly weird. We're like, we got to get these. And so we digitally restored them, and I take them to shows, and I actually have them framed. They're framed in a black frame. You put it up there. And David digitally restored all the original artwork to it. And then we, knock on wood, I don't think the company's out there anymore. I mean, gosh, they made it back in the 80s, but who knows? But
It'd be cool.
What?
It'd be cool if we had access to some of those old play sets, like those old space type play sets from the 70s, 80s, and you were able to scan those in and then send them to Randall in Canada, and have Randall kind of create a paper play set, like a smaller one for like Super Joe, or like the your cybernetic explorers.
I tried to do that with him a couple years ago. And I think it was because, if you remember, was it LGN Captain Action? Remember Captain Action? You could buy the outfit, and it had the little snap together play set, the cardboard play set.
Correct.
And I wanted to send some of that to him to do. And I think he was kind of averse to replicating other people's work, because his work is,
I get it. He's an artist.
Unique on its own.
Yep.
So what we did was, I go down so many rabbit holes, man.
I do too, man. It's a curse.
I talked to him, and he was like, yeah. And I was totally cool with that. Yeah. With the last really big success I had with him was the Foot Lockers. I went with him with the Foot Locker concept. So, hey, can you do the kits? Man, he nailed it. But what we ended up doing is, we found out. So I had a friend of mine, and I was telling him, it was Jason, in fact, Jason Scheinmeyer. And I was like, man, I really want to try to do a play set that is in that same vinyl and cardboard, where you can infuse the cardboard artwork inside of it. And he goes, I have a friend who did that. They were doing it for Mego figures.
Oh, okay.
And we were talking to that person for some time. I forget her name. And it just kind of, I think when we finally got down to the brass tacks, it was just going to be so financially expensive to just get it off the ground. But she had this whole thing where it was like, there was a company in the US that could fuse the inserts into it, and it could fold all up.
Wow.
Which was that whole concept of all those things, is that they, the Adventure Team headquarters all folded up into a modular unit, So never say never. It's, I did jack around last year with building a GI Joe headquarters using a plastic shelf system from Walmart
Uh-huh.
that you could just go. And the thought process was go to Walmart, go buy the shelf for $30, and then we'll
Right.
sell you the kit
The
and
kit.
and we'll sell the kit where you have the different stages. And the last thing we were working on was we were going to have an elevator. It was literally a fucking Barbie dream house, but for GI Joe. But it had an elevator that went all down the different levels, and then the top was like the helipad, and all like that. And
Wow.
it's out, when the time is right, it's going to come out there. I'm sure I'll be on my deathbed going, "We made it." But I'd buy one.
Oh yeah, I
That's
probably would too. I'm
yeah,
still like I buy Randall stuff every once in a while, but I stockpile it so I can do it all when I do it. But his modular stuff his hex set that all hooks together is
yes,
super cool. I think that's one of the most coolest and innovative things. And I got his Foot Locker set. I'm getting ready to do a custom next year with the Foot Locker set. It's going to be super cool. But I love all his stuff. I love building it because it's not. I always tell everybody, like, I've built like 2 of them for video. I'm like, this is not something like if you're in 5th grade, you go by and you just build it in like a weekend. You got to
no,
take your time and build it. Like, this isn't like you'll see people like, oh, it's just so hard. I'm like, well, yeah. I mean, that's when it's done, it looks amazing. You know what
yeah,
I'm saying? Like that when I built that cryo chamber, that was a hard thing to build. But man, I've used that thing in I don't know how many photo stories. I fucking love that thing.
and I
you
think
know?
I think and I think that's why we kind of hit a wall with him on the thing, because instead of it being the most of the creations that he has done, they've been his own. The only one that kind of was part of it was me and part of it was him was the Foot Locker concepts.
Right.
And I had to send him some boxes and we had to get the shapes right. But everything else, like you're talking about the things where all the modules connect and like that, and then the ones that everything they kind of light up, those were all his creations. So I can probably understand now why he had an aversion to taking something like a Mr. Action play set and then
Right.
transcribing it. And then he has his own universe,
Yeah.
already built.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, I need to reach out to him. It's been um the political climate's been a little bit crazy for Randall. God, I love the guy. But
Yeah.
he, Randall.
Yep, I
And
do. It's
I just
the mind of an artist.
yeah, no, and that's
Unfortunately, I know I'm there too. I got a lot of friends. I'm like, you guys gotta relax, man. It's just
yeah, just
you're just surfing waves, man.
it's okay, brother. It's okay. I don't like Trudeau, but it's gonna be okay. You know.
I
But
did see he's alive. He did post a picture to Facebook today. I think Art Lab. It was his. I think that was a newer picture, but I don't know.
he
You know,
hasn't created anything lately. I did a restock with him. I contacted him about maybe 2 or 3 months ago because I was like, man, I need to get some more stuff from Randall. And then he sent that stuff to me, and I was like, the Foot Lockers were the first things to go. I'm surprised I have the map tables, where there it's this octagonal map table that lights up
those
from the
map tables
inside.
are great. Everybody
Yeah,
should have a map table.
they should have that for sure. And I'm
You should
surprised
have a
we haven't
map
pulled it
table.
out. But yeah,
Everybody should have it.
his work is phenomenal. It is not for the level one collector by any means.
Nope.
It's kind of like those Estes rockets. You could either have that Estes rocket that was called the Mosquito, or you could get the Stealth Fighter Estes rocket that you really had to know how to sand the balsa wood.
Yep.
So
There's
yeah, I
levels to it.
yeah, and so yeah, because we had people that got mad at us because they were like, "Well, I don't know how to put it together." I'm like, "It says DIY kit on there, man. Come on,
You guys are
read
adults.
read
I know.
read the verbiage."
Yeah.
So,
I could just
but
eat.
I hope he comes. I hope he starts doing some new stuff. Like I said, but I've been kind of. It's the same thing with like Sean we were talking about earlier. I just you got to give these guys their space and let the creativity flow. And when it's flowing, it's flowing.
Yeah, that's
So
the coolest thing about I think, and I've talked about this on several of my live streams with a lot of my guests, like you and Sean and Jim. Um, right now, it's really interesting, and I think and I think Daryl Dupree said something a while. I think maybe it was last year on Paul Knapp's show when Daryl was on there. He basically said our 1/6 scale hobby is kind of driven by the collectors and customizers now, and I think that's kind of where the space we're in now is.
The God honest truth.
We're all doing. We're buying stuff from you. We're buying stuff from you. We're kit bashing. We're making our own with 3D printers. And we're all coming up with our own unique concepts, and we've created this weird, really creative universe in the 1/6 scale space.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of just happened organically, and it's really fun right now.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, it's something that I always said. And Daryl nailed it. It's the fans are the people who are now continuing the legacy and continuing the growth and the expansion of it, because God loved Hasbro. They gave us G.I. Joe, but the new Hasbro is not like what the old Hasbro was.
Right.
And it's up to these fans. I mean, it's like we were talking about the O-ring stuff. Some of the greatest O-ring stuff that you're seeing these days are for Kickstarters from guys that are just like you and me that wanted to build it.
Yep.
But it's like, I mean, Christ, man. You got Sean, you got Jim, you got Keith Holmes, you got NMI Plastics. You've got oh my Christ. I mean, you got God, who else? I mean, shit, you for one. You've got DeCastro. Robert DeCastro came out of he came out of the cave and came back. Robert was, you talk about being an OG. Robert's an OG.
Yep.
I remember when Robert was doing stuff, and I was like,
sewing his own stuff.
Oh,
just brilliant.
Ask him sometime if you get a chance. I did the San Antonio show in '98 was the first show I ever did, and he was working with a company, and the company, in no certain terms, fucked him over. But he was doing all these tactical designs of uniforms and everything that was, in my opinion, years ahead of what 21st Century Toys ended up doing.
Yep.
His work was just amazing. And that guy screwed him over. I think he took a lot of his prototypes and stuff like that, and it really soured Robert. And he kind of, I don't remember. I think that kind of soured him for a long time, but it was crazy because I started seeing him on Paul's show. I was like, holy shit, DeCastro's back,
Yep.
But you got him. You got Firebase Ryan. Firebase Ryan's that goes same show. That was Rob and Doug Humphrey. I still sell Rob stuff to this day. His sandbags, but you got people like that. You've got Murray Corrigan, man. He's been doing holsters for years.
Yep.
Aaron Luck. Aaron's been kind of on the back burner, but he's been doing holsters and stuff for years. Matt Stevenson's been doing stuff. We got Sydney down in Brazil. God willing, we can pay. Which for people, I don't know if you saw.
Yeah, what's going on with that?
All right, so right now, I gotta pay attention to the news because I know we just got this. The country we opened the country back up for business, but what the problem is?
Yep. Yep. Today we did.
Yeah, we did.
Just like that.
Just like that. I'm gonna get my snap tomorrow.
You get my snap. Paul Mapp's getting paid now. Paul was on the no payment they're playing for a while. So
really,
Paul, yeah, shout out to Paul.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to DFW Airport and say we're gonna get one of those $10,000 checks that TSA was getting this week. Man, that's crazy. But no, what's happening? I've been following this like a hawk, man, because obviously it has an adverse effect on me. Absolutely. Anything you get from Brazil is subject to I think right now it's like it's a 50% tariff. It's a 50% tariff. It's a 35 for Canada. And I think
it's really bad.
Canada's bad. And this is what sucks, man, because when I was talking to you back at I think the last time you and I talked was like summer was about to kick into gear. And at that time we were only dealing with China. And so then I was like, okay, I'm going to move everything around. So I started working more with Sydney in Brazil, and I was working more with Murray up in Canada. And, I was working with, Wilfred Gauthier over at Captain Cosmos. Yeah. And then I was working with, God, what is his name? He's over. It's Hobby Crash, but everybody knows it.
Is that in
Knows it as
Spain?
Guy per man. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've known him forever. But yeah, so yeah, I'm trying to bring these things in from these other places, and it's like I'm getting tagged everywhere. And then I was like, okay, well, I'll get some scuba suits from a guy over in Venezuela. And well, now there's a naval blockade going in Venezuela. And I'm like, Trump must hate action figure collectors or something like.
He probably does.
So we're working right now. I've actually Congress, they'd actually in the Senate, they had passed it to get rid of the um, Brazilian tariff and to get rid of the Canadian tariff. But I think it went to the House, and I think it died.
Did it?
I'm still bugging my congressman. I still believe in doing that, and so I bug the hell out of my congressman. But I'm about to just have to bite the bullet because the first shipment that came in from Sydney, which was all those $6 million man heads and bodies and everything else, we got them in, and it was like, we got a 50% tariff.
Ooh.
You've lost a lot of money, because I mean, I'll be honest with you. I have, just to let you know, I have basically a 40% gross profit margin on everything I get from Brazil. And then 10% of that goes to shipping. Right. So then I'm really only making about 30% net. So if he comes in, well, tariffs come in and say, we're going to take 50%, I've already lost money.
Yep.
So that's the reason why I've been waiting to kind of see what's going on before we do the next shipment, because I've got another $1,000 I got to ship through Sydney, but then, I'm trying to be accommodating to people. Most people, like you, understand what's going on. Some people don't understand at all. And they're mad. They're like, well, give me my money back or this or that or whatever. So it's just right now, it's a waiting game. I talked to Sydney yesterday. We're going to try to go through an alternate carrier, because that was part of the other problem is when that not only were we dealing with that, but then we're also dealing with the de minimis expiring in August, the end of August. So then a lot of postal companies wouldn't ship anything because of the de minimis clause, was gone. And so, that's the reason why for a period of time, Wilfred Gauthier, he wasn't shipping anything from Captain Cosmos.
Uh-huh.
And then Murray got his stuff to me right before the de minimis. I haven't got anything new from Murray. And but yeah, that's been about the biggest thing. Is it's like, come on, man, and now China's actually the cheapest thing now. I think China's down to maybe 35% or 30%. And thank God for that, because that's where we get our body parts. That's where we get our heads. That's where we get all of our repair parts. We get our feet. We get our hands. We get our bodies.
It's just a mess. It's a total mess, and it kind of also ruins like future plans. Like what you want to do down the line and everything. Because if you're gonna have something tooled, made, and yeah, I hope it gets sorted out. I mean, it's just crazy.
I do too. It's been just unnerving. Because it's kind of like one step forward, two steps back kind of scenario. And I mean, dude, it's totally disheartening when you're paying. It's literally a tariff for me is like I am just throwing away money.
Yep.
It doesn't, contrary to what some people think, it doesn't affect the shipper at all. It affects the consumer, the wholesale consumer. And unfortunately, I had to raise some of my prices on some of my stuff just to keep that going. But it was just like nuts. Now, I will say this, and I've been telling this to a lot of people because I get people all the time. They're always like, hey, when are you going to do the figure boxes? Well, we're going to do the figure boxes when we're making more money, because I have to basically put a $4,000 investment into doing the figure boxes, which is the white boxes with the clear lids.
Right.
And then people are like, when are you going to do this or when are you going to make that? Well, because of the whole tariff thing, everything's really slowed down for us because we're trying to just kind of keep operating. But I will say this. When I bought the company in 2020, I signed a 7-year note. I have 17.
You still there?
Yeah. Can you see me?
Yeah, I can see now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have a 7-year note, I have 17 more payments to go.
Awesome.
Why is that important? Because that note, I pay $4,000 a month on that loan.
Okay.
That's $4,000. So once I get that loan paid off, it's like free at last, you
You're
know.
free and clear.
So
You're free and clear.
free and clear, yeah. So I'll be able to take that money, and I just keep telling people, hey, just be patient with me. Hopefully you can last another year and a half. Because once we have that money where it's a little bit more free and everything like that, and hopefully by then tariffs are gone and everything like that, my plan is just to reinvest that money back into more production.
Yeah, that's really great.
And it's to do figure boxes. It's to do, you know, people said, hey man, when are you going to come up back with the Japanese bolt action rifle? When are you going to come back with the Mosin Nagant, with the K98K? Man, we got the tooling. It's just the funding, you know.
You just got to fund it. Yep.
Yeah.
And then you got new projects you've talked about doing, like the Henshin Cyborg, possibly, something like that. You know,
that's one of those ones that's probably going to wait till then. There was a Henshin Cyborg that they made that was pretty true to the 1970s one that I sent them, and they said that everything is cool. The only thing that I have to pay for tooling for is I have to pay the tooling for the chest module.
Mm-hmm.
And then the neck module, which is basically, it's just the neck, but it has the little robotic parts.
Right.
The heads are not an issue. I can pick any kind of head I want to. We just do it in clear. And then the body parts aren't an issue. I think the torso might. I can't remember. I think the torso.
You got to screw together, maybe.
I think it's going to have to be hard plastic versus the torsos we use are blow molded.
Mm-hmm.
But that is a prime example of a project that once that money is starting to accumulate, we're going to start doing stuff like that. And not only do the clear ones, I want to do blue ones. I want to do red ones. I want to do green ones.
That's going to be great. I think it's going to be like a next level, because you'll be able to combine the Cybernetic Explorer with those bodies, and then all the outfits that you're getting sewn and all that stuff. And then you've got Sydney with Grunga and all the different possibilities that you'll be able to come up with. It's like limitless.
And then the synergy just really comes into play. And it's like we're talking about with all these other things coming into play. And that's a definite thing I will have to say is I do my best to try to kind of keep up with what's going on with everybody else.
Yep.
And to play off of their strengths and everything else like that, you know.
Yep.
It's unfortunately there's only 365 days in a year that I can, you know, try to get the shit done. But yeah. So
the best part about all the stuff that you guys do, like all the stuff that you do as far as your Elite Brigade line, your stuff you do with Jim, Sean, Brad Curry, and the other guys.
Oh yeah, Brad. I forgot about Brad.
Yeah, Brad. He released some cool pictures of some tables he did. But the coolest thing is that this is what I love about all you guys. So like, I sit down here in my basement and I have all my stuff in my workshop, and I follow all you guys and I see what everybody makes. And you guys make something, and I'll pre-order it and I'll wait, because sometimes you got to wait for pre-orders, which is not a problem for me. Because while I'm waiting, I'm creating a story. I'm essentially kind of creating a commercial for all you guys in a way. Like, that's what I love to do. I love to get your products and those guys' products, and I love to make art with it. Like, I like to make a story that really utilizes what you guys create. And that's what I really appreciate about you and all the guys that you work with, is like, you're helping me live out my childhood dream in this YouTube channel that I made. Like, that is why I made this YouTube channel. One of the reasons is so I can take the toys I buy from you and everybody else and make something. And I love it. I appreciate the hell out of it.
Well, dude, I mean, thank you. But I mean, I have to give you credit. I have to give, you know, going back to Robert, you know, and the stories he did, and then Angelo de Annabelle's doing all, you know, the different stories that he does. Yes. To me, it's just this whole energy, the synergy going on, because yeah, we're doing that, but then you're putting out these videos and the photos, people are doing photo stories. Who's the one who does the photo stories? Is it Ernie? Does Ernie do the photo story still? Was it Ernie?
Let's see, we got a ton of us. Robert does his live action ones. Adam
I know Robert
does Chronicles does his. Judge of Lost Chronicles. Ernie's Attic did his with a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I think it was Ernie.
We did that Golden Skull thing, and I don't know if you saw the videos for those.
Yeah.
Those were I was blown away by how many people actually participated and made really cool shit. You know, it's just like, wow.
But that's the whole thing about it, though. It's not just even, it's not just the people who manufacture and stuff. It's the guys like you that are content creators. Because what happens is there's somebody that's flicking through on YouTube, Jesus Christ, I'm up for the 80s.
My son's up
Anyway,
there turning the channel for me.
so, really, Greg, can you turn it to 8, channel 8? Sure thing, Dad. I'm gonna get you a beer while I'm at it. But no, it's like those guys that are going through YouTube and they're just, they're looking through stuff and they come across a video, they come across one of your videos, or they come across somebody else's, and then they get inspired.
Yes.
And you wouldn't believe, that's the thing. It's like I've had people that actually say, "Man, I saw this video or I saw this," and then they go back to their mom and dad's house, or they go up in their attic and they get their Joe's house.
Yeah.
And they spark. And I've heard, and I know some people say they don't like hearing stories about, oh, I collected that or whatever. But I've heard so many stories that have said, I'm so glad, that there's this whole thing, because I am reliving my childhood again.
Yes.
And so I got to take that mirror, brother, and turn it back on you guys, because I'm just trying to facilitate stuff, but you guys have this creative genius to tell these stories, to continue on that storytelling, that you used to get from the many comics, and you used to get it from the
Right.
Peter Pan record books and stuff like that. I could just basically make shadow puppets, maybe, but it's going to look like a retarded Tyrannosaurus Rex or whatever it is. So I just cannot. My wife's a special ed teacher. She's not going to like me again.
She's not going to like you saying that, but that's okay. Yeah, it's a great time. And I think one of the interesting things about it is, like, I don't know if any of this would have happened for me personally if COVID wouldn't have happened. One of the bright spots of that whole fucking disaster was I just didn't have anything to do, so I just started doing this. And I met all these great people, and we formed this Axis of Awesome community.
Which is phenomenal.
Which is fun. Yeah, it's super fun. And we've got all these guys, and you got Paul Knapp's channel, Paul does a great job every week with everything he does. And you've just built this really, really cool group of people. And I think it's something really unique. And I just think it's, back when the Facebook groups were going on 10, 15 years ago, it was fun, but there was also a lot of negativity. And I don't see any negativity in the stuff we're doing now. I really don't. I mean, there's people that bitch about stuff a lot, but I don't see nearly the amount of just toxic shit. Now it's just people having fun,
Yeah, I what, that used to really get me down, because I would have some people that would talk some negative crap and stuff like that, or say something shitty about something that we came up with. Yep. And I was just like, what, I'm not going to let them affect me. I'm delete, move on, next to the thing. I want to talk to people like you. I want to talk to, this is, it's the nostalgia, it's the community, it's the energy, of just everything coming together. And that's the one great thing about, it's like we've been talking, I was having a conversation. I don't know do you know Scott Beckman at all?
I do know who he is. I've never met him. I think I've talked with him and maybe on chats or something, but yeah, I do know him.
So Scott, I've been friends with Scott since '98. I first met him at the first GI Joe convention I went to in San Antonio, which oddly enough, the GI Joe Collectors Club was based out of Fort Worth. I know Brian, interesting guy. I can tell you more story about him off the air, and but that was the great thing was, you start getting these friendships and everything, and that was the really great thing, especially with like the shows and stuff like that, is that the shows became nothing but like family reunions, and I got a friend of mine. He always hates using the term family or community or whatever like that. But that's what it becomes like.
It is.
I mean, it's like, okay, so we've been doing the DFW show for years, and every year we'll bring somebody in, and like when Paul Macias, don't you?
No, I don't know him.
Oh my God, I got to introduce you to Paul. Paul looks like the Iglesias guy. I'm not fat and fluffy. That's what he looks like. He hates me when I tell him that. But I ran into him because I was a super fan. I'm still a super fan of Mattel's Heroes and Action Figures from 1976.
Oh yeah.
Paul runs the only Heroes in Action page. He's out of El Paso.
Ooh.
And so he came and did the show, and he had Heroes in Action, but he had God, he had a phenomenal GI Joe stuff that he had for sale. He had GI Joe and Migos and everything. And so he became an instant friend, an instant friend. And that's the really great thing I really have to say about the GI Joe community is because people, they just start networking, getting to know each other. And of all the bad things I do say about the internet and social media, I will say that on the flip side, it has helped strengthen the bonds between people and establish those friendships. Dude, I would have
Oh yeah.
never known you if it weren't for the internet, you know?
Yeah, me too. Yep. You're right.
But
There's so many
it's
good things
it's
that can come out of it. Yeah.
it's a great thing. The one thing I really would encourage, and I don't know if a lot of people are familiar with this. Okay, so the first two groups that used to be that before Facebook really kicked in, there were the trenches, which
Yep.
was the AOL group. That's the one that was run by Scott Beckman and his wife Charlotte.
Right.
And then there was the Sandbox,
That's what Sean
which was
said. It's almost like the Sandbox is being revived on a different platform. That's what
yeah,
Sean
the
said. Yep.
Sandbox. And so you know there was a Sandbox, and I remember the one great thing about the Sandbox, and it does continue to a certain degree, but it's really kind of more underground. There was a thing we had that was called Joe Karma, and I know people probably do it, but basically what Joe Karma was is somebody in the group would say, "Hey, I'm looking for a foot," or
Yep.
"Hey, I'm looking for a label," and next thing you know, that just showed up in their mail. That
Yep.
was called Joe Karma. Generally, whoever did it never put their return address or anything like that. They were just, just paying it forward with them.
Yep.
And that was the thing that I always appreciated, that everybody was kind of looking out for each other. Yeah, you get your trolls every so often, but the
Mm-hmm.
majority were the people that were just, hey, trying to help each other out, not looking to make a buck, you know. And that's the tough thing about me running Cotswold Collectibles. Um, I ain't gonna lie. Well, um, there's been a couple of times when I'll be talking to somebody and they're like, "Hey, what was that? What was the latest one? Oh, a friend of mine needed a bazooka. He needed the bazooka shell." I'm like, "You're looking for a bazooka shell?" And he's like, "Yeah." So I just dropped one in the mail to him out of Cotswold stuff. Which now I'm sure everybody's going to be knocking on my door. "Hey, man, can I come in the
Where's
back
my
room?"
bazooka shell?
Yeah, I got another bazooka shell. But that's just the one thing I will never get rich financially doing this. In fact, when I went to work for Tina for Cotswold, I took a $15,000 a year pay cut. I tell that to everybody. I took a $15,000 a year pay cut. Never regretted it. I will probably never get rich off of it. In fact, um, I don't make a lot of money doing what I do, but because I love it so much,
Mm-hmm.
and I love the community, and I love the friends that I make, like you and like Sean and everybody else that I've met. Um, I'm just, and I don't mean to get sappy. You're just rich. You're just rich in other places. I mean, if it weren't for what I was doing and stuff like that, I mean, I never would have met, all these designers that worked for Hasbro, like Ron Rudad and all these other guys that worked on the different vehicles. And I pinch myself sometimes because, I had Greg Bernstein who designed the USS Flag. And he goes, "Hey, Greg, me and my wife are going to be down in San Antonio. We're going to be heading back up. We're driving in an RV. You want to stop and have dinner?" And I'm like, "You want to have dinner with me?"
Yeah.
And so, yeah. And so that's the great thing about it is it's not about money. It's just about relationships and building relations with people, helping people out, and just being happy, man. I mean, I know that sounds like the corniest shit ever, but it's the
Yeah.
God's honest truth. I mean, I mean, do I want to make money from a company? God, yes. But do I do it to get rich? No,
Yeah.
no. Most of the stuff that I come out with and most of the people that I support, you know, I do it because I just want to have fun with the hobby. And that's what I just enjoy. Like I said, I'm sitting there watching y'all's videos and y'all, and your shows and all shows and stuff like that. And just, I feel like a little 5-year-old. So
It's
I'll
so
get, I'll get
fun.
off my sap soapbox. So
It's the truth, man. It is. It's all the relationships you build along the way are the best part about it because like I've met people that I never thought I would ever talk to. I'm doing the live stream. I meet people. I've met people like through the internet that I never even thought I would even have a chance to know, like
yeah,
just people. And then I know them and I find out, oh, this person's super cool. Like this person's way cooler than what I ever imagined they'd be. And yeah, sometimes you know what imposter syndrome is. You kind of you kind of feel like you're not supposed to be whatever's
All
happening. You're not supposed to. It's not supposed to be happening. Like
you're,
I this.
you're not sup- yeah, you're not supposed to be in that room. Yeah.
Yeah,
I get
I get
I get
that.
I get that all the time.
Yep.
And it's weird because um the weirdest thing for me that's been so freaking surreal, and I'm sure you're getting this too now, is like I'll be doing a show, like I'll be doing one of Steve's shows, and someone goes, "Hey man, I just watched your YouTube video," and I'm like, "Really?
Yeah.
You
What?
watched it?"
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like, yeah. And then this is what's crazy. You have to ask Ace the story. I swear to God, I forget the main part of it, but basically Ace Allgood was out having dinner with somebody. I don't know who it was. It might have been Paul for all I know. And that the waiter was looking at Ace really weird. And the guy goes, "Are you that guy in those YouTube videos?" And I was like, that is totally, I mean, it's totally random. Totally random. I mean, I can understand at a toy show we running into the guys and shooting the shit, but running
Yep.
into a waiter that's like, and so I told Ace, I'm like, brother, you're a rock star, you know?
He is. I
And
need to
that's
I need to get
and
him on here sometime.
Ace would be Ace is the best person ever
He's a
to
cool dude.
to cool dude. I mean, the name itself, Ace Allgood. I mean, good God, he's like
Can't make a
and
better
he's the
name.
you couldn't think of a better name, and he's such a great guy, super laid back. Give you the shirt off of his back. And this is a funny story about Ace. So we were Cotswold was bidding on this collection, and I'm talking it was like 1976, still on the box, still on the card, GI Joe stuff, primo. And Tina, who used to be the previous owner, and I were trying to get it. And the lady was fishing. She was fishing. So we were bidding on it. And I knew that not Desimone, who's the guy in New York, New Jersey,
Joe
who
Zeta?
sells Joe Zeta. Yeah, Joe
Yep.
Zeta was bidding on it. And then I think my friend Paul was bidding on it. And
Oh
so it
man.
just kept going.
So
It
heavy
kept going
hitters
back
down
and
there.
yeah, man, it was nuts. And so at the very end, we ended up not getting it. You know, she would just keep going back around the circle, and I was like, man, we're out. You know, and I was like, who got it? And they were like, oh, Ace got it. And I'm like, well, shit, I can't be mad at Ace. You know, it's like being mad
I
at Jesus or something. You know,
He
it
is
was
such a chill dude. When he's on Paul's show, I
yeah.
love just he's so funny. He
Oh,
I can't
his,
remember who he
his
reminds
energy
me
makes
of.
my energy just pale in comparison. In fact, I have to literally start this when I'm going on to do a show with him because
Yeah,
he
those
is
videos
just
are always good.
yeah, his are hilarious. He's absolutely hilarious. He lives up in Minneapolis. We're gonna hopefully do a series of his collection. I'm gonna bring
Oh
a
my
steady cam.
god.
Yeah, and we're gonna do like maybe a 5 or 6 part series of his GI Joe collection up there, which I think
He's
will
got a
probably.
massive collection.
He's
Ugh.
got a phenomenal collection, and it's always evolving, you know. And then basically he'll buy a collection, and then he'll take the best stuff out of it, and then the stuff that he had on the shelves that is, you know, not as good as the other stuff, he'll take it to the shows and sell them.
Yep.
But super great guy. I can never say anything wrong about Ace. He's a great guy.
I'll have to
Yeah,
reach out to
definitely
him.
reach out to. He'll get on your show.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I go him and Daryl DePriest. I would love to talk to Daryl too. And I've listened to Daryl on Regular Joe's for a long time, and like he's a guy like I just love listening to him talk about GI Joe and stuff. So,
Daryl was one of those guys. You talk about imposter syndrome. When I first started collecting, Daryl was like this untouchable to me because you know he had written the book
yep.
about GI Joe that you know that we all have, and then he got the job with Hasbro, and we thought, you know,
Wild.
holy shit, yeah, he's one of the guys got up there, and I just remember of just, you know, and it's so funny to talk to him. The thing that's so funny is that we're all basically the same type of guys. We're all a bunch of nerds and geeks and shit.
Yep.
But you kind of, like you said, you get this thing that's like, I'm kind of real. In the beginning, I was real standoffish, and then he started letting go and telling me these stories that were crazy, and you start kind of relaxing a little bit, you know. And it's the same thing with the Hasbro designers and all these other guys. They're just normal guys. I have yet to meet anybody who's worked for Hasbro or has worked in the industry that was a dick. You know, most of every
Really?
guy, yeah, maybe one or two, but most of the guys that I've talked with, they love shooting the shit. In fact, a lot of the Hasbro guys that we've been bringing in for our show, you know, they've never done a show before, and they're like, "You want me to come to a show
They don't
to
realize it,
talk
do
about?"
they?
No, they don't realize that there's this whole fandom that's out there,
Wow.
and they're just humbled, you know, to be there. And in fact, that's why I love doing the show that we do in Dallas. It's because, you know, we bring these guys in, and every one of those guys are just like, "What do you want me to talk about?" And we're like, "Okay, we're going to be doing this." And he goes, "You want me to talk about the Defiant space launcher?" And we're like, "Yeah."
That was a massive playset, dude. Like, shit, yeah. That was one of
Oh
the best
yeah, we're going to
playsets ever
talk about the
made,
Defiant.
man.
Yeah, and these guys, and it's the type of thing that, you know, I've always tried to maintain and preserve. I've always wanted to preserve, and I'm still trying to do this. We had so many custom makers back in the day. Mark Cole is still one of the surviving ones. We lost Tripwire Toys. Paul and Debbie Anama, Soldiers Through Time. They're still alive, but they got out of it. But they're back in the 90s and the 80s. There was just this custom maker plethora, and to me, I consider it custom folk art. You know,
Yep.
and it's the same thing with these people that worked for Hasbro. That we have to preserve their legacy, and I think Brian Savage did a really good job of bringing a lot of the guys that started in '64, Don Levine and all those guys. I think Daryl's done a fantastic job preserving some of that. And there are other guys, you know, like, you know, Dan, who works with me, and Carson Metaxas, who does a lot of stuff that they're trying to preserve the legacy of the guys from the 80s. And so, and I'm glad we're doing that, because it's kind of like these soldiers that have been passing away from World War II and you know, Korean War, and we're losing guys from Vietnam. We're losing that legacy, that oral history, that legacy of what's going on. And
yeah,
that's why, like Daryl, when he was talking to those guys who worked on Adventure Team, I was like, holy shit, they're still alive, you know?
which is wild.
And it's just, you have to preserve that. I really do believe that. So I'm trying to do it with custom makers. I'm actually kind of talking, I would like to do a story on Jim Hesterberg from Leonard. And then I've been digging into, I think you and I talked about this earlier, the Rapid Deployment Force.
Yeah.
Do you remember those?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, I think I found the guy who ran the Rapid Deployment Force.
Really? The line?
The Rapid Deployment Force line. And I got to figure out if there's a connection, because I got to figure out if there's a connection between Rapid Deployment Force and Formative International, which was the Soldiers Through Time series. Right? They look very similar, but
they're almost similar. The early bodies are almost the same, right?
They're almost the same. They might be the same people, but I actually found some documents on Sunday that led me down this. I had a spider hole this thing, and I think I found these people that ran the company, and I want to reach out to them and talk to them and see if they have any information, because I'm a sucker for Rapid Deployment Force. It was
those jumpsuits. Peter from School Review has posted some pictures of those jumpsuits. It'd be interesting to get Sydney to do like a rendition of some of those jumpsuits that they have, those guys.
I would love to do that, and then to get people like Jim and everybody to reproduce in 3D the parts, because they were so corny, but they were awesome. Amazing. Yeah,
they're awesome.
Yeah, you had the guy with the helmet with the eye, and the other guy had the crossbow, but the crossbow was this way or whatever, like that.
Just so shitty, but awesome. I had a few of the figures, but they're like about the time that the Hall of Fame came out, right?
It was right about there. Yeah. I've got about 30 of them here, and I'm thinking about doing a video series on it.
You should. I don't think they made that many. You want to know something, Greg?
No, they didn't.
I get on Syndico auctions in Japan.
Right.
I spend too much time on there. and I'll find those Rapid Deployment Force mitten box on there.
Really?
$20 for $20. You'll find I'll see them. I'll be like, this is wild that they even had them over there, but I'm not surprised.
Probably, yeah, probably because I mean, the company was a U.S. based company. I think they're out of New York or New Jersey, and it was a husband and wife, and it still shows that their business is active.
Huh.
And what it was is they did, and this is what was nuts, man. They did that, but at the same time, they did this Western series that was like Wyatt Earp and Billy the Kid and these Western guys.
Oh, I
And
think
so
I
they,
kind of remember the Wyatt Earp.
yeah, they
They
had
do
the
a lot.
Western series, and then they did those, but not to be confused with the formative Western
Right.
series. It was, you know,
I wonder
so
if they
it.
sold it. Did they think they sold it to Formative?
I got to figure out because I was talking to Beckman, Scott Beckman, last week, and he's like, he was going to talk to Charlotte because he remembers somebody from Formative who used to come to Brian's early shows and would just walk around the shows. And so he's going to talk to Charlotte, his wife, and we're trying to track it down because I would love to get the information on that. I would love to get the information on Formative, and then continue that and just figure out what's the story behind that, because that's a whole other amazing story of those toy lines for 12-inch.
Oh my God, there was so many. Do you remember Gil Jones, Major Gil Jones?
Oh my God, yeah.
That head sculpt. Pete from the School Review did a review of that. And that head sculpt is super cool for that figure. Like it's a really unique head sculpt.
That was a weird line though. It was just kind of like here and then it was gone. But yeah, it was kind of like it's not a really bad figure. It's not a really, it's kind of
I would love to get that head and mold it and put it on a Cotswold body.
Pretty decent. That's a pretty decent one. I might have to see if I can score one, send it to Jason, see if he can reproduce it. Because whoever he's working with to do head sculpts, they can do it pretty cheaply. So
that's awesome. Well, man, as we wrap this up, we've been going for an hour and 42 minutes. What is there anything you want to tell me about what's going on with Cotswold? What's coming up before we go? The tariff stuff kind of is a Debbie Downer, but what else is going on?
God, man, you put me on the spot, Johnny, on the spot. We have okay. I have a soft spot for Christmas, and every year I try to release some new Christmas themed Elite Brigade outfit sets.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So we've done Elf, we've done the Mego size Elf, we've done Santa Claus in Miami, stuff like that. We did Scrooge. Everybody's a Scrooge. This year, I'm playing with we're going to be releasing variations on a thing. We're going to be releasing Christmas themed pajamas, robes, stuff like that, which is always cool. People like to decorate their Joes up for Christmas and put them underneath the tree. I am working with one of the ladies who does my normal Christmas Santa Clauses, and she's going to do like a Saint Nicholas type Santa Claus, where it's going to be like the long robe.
Oh, nice. Like a Father Christmas type deal. Yeah.
Kind of like a Father Christmas, Papa Noel kind of thing. So that's what we're working on, that one, to kind of do a classic style one. Of course, we don't have the long beard like we have, but maybe Chuck Scirocco could make some of those bad boys. Who knows?
Oh, he can.
So we're doing that. So we're doing that with that one. Those are the two new ones. And then I've got a new lady who's sewing for me. And we came up with this concept. It's going to be called the Christmas Explorer. I know it's original. And what it's going to be, it's going to be like the standard kind of adventure team top of shirt and then the pants. So what we're going to do is the shirt and the pants are going to be that holly green, Christmas green color. And then he's going to have the red belt, the backpack with a bunch of gifts in his backpack. And then he's going to have a Christmas scarf around his neck. And then he's going to have just the regular, the knit cap or whatever that comes over his head, and a red adventure team dog tag. So we're going to do like a dozen of those. But I was so pissed at myself because I was trying to remember what I was going to do for this year, but I had these other ones. But I promise next year, get ready. Next year, we're doing Unicorn Cornelius.
I was getting ready to ask you that. That is what I was getting ready to ask you. Oh man, are you going to be? the white snow boots. Can you guys get those molded in brown? The
Um,
waffle bottoms. Do you guys have the mold for those?
we don't. Those are Juan Manuel over in Hobby Crash. He has the mold for that.
I wonder if you could do brown ones.
I could
Dude,
ask
that
him.
would be so dope.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah,
Brown
he
waffle
was.
boots.
I was trying to remember because I was talking to one of my design ladies. I'm like, "Do you remember what we're going to be doing for this year?" And she's like, "I can't remember." And it was fucking Yukon Cornelius, but we'll be doing him next year.
I'm gonna get that one for sure.
Yeah, we're even gonna try to build like a fat suit for him. Make him a little stockier.
Oh man.
So, but yeah, we're gonna do Father Christmas, and we're doing the Christmas Explorer, and then we're just doing some Christmas pajamas. So that'll probably be coming out the end of this month, and nothing much else. Like I said, we really the Leonard stuff is really probably going to be our good heavy hitter, and then we're just trying to get stuff in. We're trying to get the stuff in from Sydney, getting stuff in from from over in Canada and stuff like that. So, and just trying to keep it exciting, keep it fun. We'll be finishing off the 6-part series of doing Chuck Scirocco doing Leonard Ultra Core.
Yep.
And after that, I don't know what we're going to be doing. I mean, it's a 6-part. I think my daughter tells me it's an 8-part series. And I'm like, I don't remember. I thought we did 6, but after a while, it gets to be a blur. So they're fun videos.
Ernie's Attic wants to know when the Leonard figures are going up for sale. You got some of them on there now, don't you?
Not the figure. Is Ernie top? If it's the Ultra Core, the Ultra Cores will be up tomorrow.
Okay, there you go. Okay.
Yeah, Ultra Core figures will be up. Yeah, just the accessory sets are there. So yeah. Did anybody else have questions? I've been seeing these things pop up, but I have.
Yeah, if anybody has questions in the chat, we really haven't touched on the chat because we've been just shooting the shit so much. But Sean's right. You probably ought to make double the Yukon Cornelius sets because they're probably.
I'm planning on making like 30 sets of Yukon Cornelius.
They're going to sell out. They're going to sell out pretty quick, I think.
Yeah, I'm kicking myself for not doing it this year, but we will definitely be doing Yukon Cornelius next year.
Yeah. And we've had a really good Robert Maxog just jumped in. Robert just got here late. That's great. I know he's getting ready for Designer Con. I don't know if you've ever seen the robots he makes. They're super cool.
The stuff that goes on in Robert's brain just baffles me.
Absolutely.
I've seen some of those creations. They're just my brain can't even comprehend the stuff that he does. I'm like, I make stick figures, and he's over there doing this like these Safubi on acid type of stuff.
He is, and blinding himself in the process. He does it for the hobby, man. He does it for the fam. But
he's a great guy. He's a great guy. He's one of the OGs. I have to give him credit. He was one of the guys that I looked up to when I was younger.
Yeah, we had a really good participation night. We had Murray, Tim Cope, Ernie's Attic, G.I. Joe for Lost Chronicles, Skull Review, Sean Huckster jumped in,
hey, Sean,
Doggy, Stacy Armstrong. It was great.
Stacy's another one. Stacy's the first guy I ever saw that he flocked a Safari Land bear.
Yeah, he flocks everything.
Yeah, it was like I saw that I was like, holy shit, you can flock that.
I all know Stacy's flocked so many things. I'd hate to pee next to him in a urinal. Might have to look over.
I would have to definitely go to a shitter if he's in the urinal. I might start growing hair again if I'm sitting next to him too long.
This has been fun, dude. Let's do it again after the first of the year sometime when you got more stuff going on. We get the tariffs all figured out, hopefully, and everything can kind of maybe the dust will settle and you'll have more of an idea what's going on. But
anytime, man. I always have a blast. To me, it's just like you and I are sitting at a table just shooting the shit for an hour.
Yeah, and I hope. Are you going to G.I. Joe Winterfest this year down in Kentucky?
Maybe.
I might go too. I haven't decided yet. We'll see.
The talk is if I go up to Minneapolis and I film the series with Ace, we're thinking about I would drive down with Ace to Winterfest and fly out of Louisville and head back home. So if that happens, then I'm definitely going to it. I love Steve shows. Steve shows are really good.
I like Steve.
The bad thing is Louisville hates me. Every time I fly out of there or try to fly out of there, I'm delayed by 2 or 3 days, and I would just rather we're driving there is even worse. It's like a 13-hour drive. I don't know how long of a drive. How long of a drive is it for you to go there?
Louisville, probably maybe 3.5 or 4. It's not real. It's not super far. It's
God,
not
I
super
hate you.
far. I might. Yeah, yeah. I need to go. I need to try to go this year. I told my wife and my son. I said maybe we'll get a hotel and go for. You guys can hang out and do some stuff while I go to the show, or they can go with me. But yeah, I'd love to have Steve on, but he needs to get better internet. I don't know what the hell's going on down in Kentucky, but his internet's terrible. Every time I see him on Paul's show, he glitches so much. I'm like, dude, I'm gonna send Starlink down. I'm gonna get hold of Musk, have him pop some rockets down there.
Steve has no excuse, man. Steve has
I
no excuse.
know
That guy's got such a phenomenal collection and everything like
he
that, and he's got
does.
me going like that. I'm like, brother, just pop up a satellite dish in your yard or something or
My
whatever.
God, I might have to go down there and put a I might have to go down and just do a personal interview with him or something. But
You might
hey,
have to.
man, I know this has been great, Greg. Let's do it again. Before we go, tell everybody where they can find you at.
You can find us Cotswold Collectibles at gijoelite.com.
And all things 1/6 scale and 1/18th, and even I think you guys are doing some 1/12th and ton
1/12
of
scale
stuff.
is all.
Ton of
And
stuff.
then we have one Migo, one Super Joe coming back into action. So
And subscribe to his newsletter. Pops in your email. You can get all the updates through that. It's a great thing to cut. It always pops in. I always enjoy looking at it. And then also Facebook, Instagram, and is that it? Facebook and Instagram, right? You guys don't have anything else, do
that
you?
I hope that there's not anymore, man.
You're not making
I think
TikTok
that's it.
videos?
Not yet. Not yet.
All right, brother. Hang around backstage and I'll close this thing down. Thanks for joining
All
us,
right, man.
Greg. I had a great time, buddy.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yep. All right, gang. Hey, that was a fun conversation. I always love talking to Greg. It's always great. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. We've got a few live streams coming up. Next week, I will be doing Edmund De Jesus on next Wednesday, I believe November 19th. So that's going to be a really fun one. So don't miss that. And then we are also working on an Axis of Awesome Founders live stream, hopefully for December. So there'll be more details coming soon on that. And in the meantime, guys, I hope you're doing great out there. Stay safe, stay sane, and keep living the adventure. And cheers.